We're going to continue on today in our booklets that are entitled 8.2 Evaluating Square Roots or Estimating Square Roots. And we're going to the very end of the booklet, the last 2 pages, and we're going to pick up from our understanding of Bedmas or Bedmas, which we're talking about order of operations. And so we might want to review the meaning of each of the letters in the acronym. So I'm just quickly sketching down here for us the meaning of each of the words: brackets, exponents, division, multiplication, addition, and finally, subtraction. The other acronym that I used was Bedmas, and the only difference here is obviously the first letter, which has the same meaning and is just a little more advanced word, which is parentheses, which also means brackets. So you may hear them used interchangeably. I want to point out to students that there's a common mistake right where I'm drawing those squiggly lines. The division and multiplication is not division before multiplication, but is in fact in the order they appear in the question. So whichever one comes first in the question happens first. And the same can be said for addition and subtraction. It is not addition before subtraction, but is in fact in the order they appear in the question. So if subtraction...
Mr. Downall, when you have a minute, can you come to the office, please?
So if subtraction comes first in the question, do it prior, before you do the addition. Okay? So I want to move on, because this is going to bring us into questions like Mrs. Strickland is writing right now. And you can see that we have one operation, a second operation, a third operation. And so we need to go back and refer to our acronym, Bedmas. And so we don't see any brackets. However, we do see some exponents. And so directly underneath of the 8 squared, we expand that to mean 8 times 8. And so we put down the known answer of 64. And many of you should know that right away because it is one of our perfect squares. You can do this in several different ways. You can then write down the rest of the question, which would just mean simply copying. You could have also done in more than one step in order. So we've got the 64, and then we look and we see the subtraction and the addition, the multiplication symbol, and we know that according to our acronym Bedmas, that the next thing to do would be to apply the multiplication of the 6 and the 4. So we're going to just copy down the subtraction sign, and we're going to do 6 times 4, which is 24. And now we have one final operation of subtraction, and we end up with 64, take away 24, which is equivalent to 40. And so this systematic sort of in order calculations of the steps is very, very important. More so than just coming up with a correct answer in the end. Okay? I would like to make sure that students are putting their equal signs just to the left and going in order step by step. We're going to try one more, which we're going to look at something a little more complicated, and we're going to put in Okay, so we have 5 squared plus round bracket 2 plus 7 round bracket all over, which is a division symbol, 3 squared subtract round bracket 3 squared minus 1 squared. So we're going to tackle this on top of the division or the fraction line and as well as below as it. We're going to do them both separately. So we're going to look and we see, yes, we do in fact have some brackets, which is our first starting letter in the acronym, brackets and then exponents. But we're also going to do these, instead of wasting paper or writing space, we're going to do them at the same time. So let's tackle the brackets first. And 2 plus 7, we're going to substitute the 9 for that bracket. And we're going to put the plus sign in front, just like the question has. And then in our head, we're going to do 5 squared, which we know as 5 times 5, which is equal to 25. We're going to go below the fraction line now, and we see that in our bracket, we in fact have some exponents present. So we're going to do the 3 squared, which is 9, and we're going to have 1 squared, which is 1 times 1, which is 1. And now we need to take those away from each other. So the 9 take away the 1, the 9 take away the 1, leaves us with an 8 in the bracket. And again, we're going to transfer the subtraction sign down here to the question, and we're going to go in front of it. We have the 3 squared, which is 3 times 3, and we're going to substitute a 9 in there. So again, stay on top of the fraction line before you go below. We've got 25 plus 9, which is 34. And then below the fraction line, we have 9 take away 8, which is 1. And finally, 34 divided by 1 is 34.